How's it going? I hit max level in Space Marine 2 PvP and Warhammer 40k is consuming my life. After seeing a ton of discourse on where the classes fall balance-wise, I kind of wanted to get in here and throw my 2 cents into this conversation. So anyway, let's get started. So, quick side note, as I finished editing this video, 3.0 dropped with some balance changes, which makes a pretty big change, and I'll touch on that when I get there. Tactical is an amazing all-rounder, and they excel in every game mode. They have a straight-up busted ability that marks targets in an area for a short duration, increasing damage taken. This can outright win you a fight. They can hold 2 grenades, and when picking up grenades, they gain 2 if they were at 0. They have a wide selection of weapons available for all ranges, 3 shield bars, and they can easily 1v1 a ton of classes as well as benefiting from 2 shock grenades. Only really losing to a Vanguard hook, solo, or a good assault dive, and even then it's not unwinnable. As a tactical, you should be sticking to your team and taking advantage of how fast you can melt people down as a group in an Auspex scan. Best counterplay here if you get Auspex scanned is to simply run for your life unless you're desperately holding a point, in which case, if you are new to Space Marine 2, this is a solid first pick if it's available, easy S tier. Next up we have Vanguard, which fills more of an offensive role on the team along with Assault. Their ability to hook is a very strong disruption tool which can cripple the tanks and help you win 1v1s. If you have your team pushing with you, a well-timed hook can be the linchpin in dismantling a team. Hook as a traversal option can be useful, but it has a long cooldown, giving you 1 less hook for a fight. It also sticks you to the wall if you collide with one for a bit too long, in my opinion. Vanguard is squishy at 2 shields, but they do have 2 different main hand options, with the Instigator making them more of a mid to long range issue. They are decent in all 3 game modes and pick up a lot of the slack left by Assault on the low roof sections of capture and control. Vanguard gets a very solid spot in A tier. Objection! 3.0 came with a big Vanguard nerf, removing the stun on hook, dropping their team utility drastically as well as reducing their ability to 1v1, so I'm dropping them down to C tier. I would put them lower, but they still have primary weapons that are pretty decent. Bulwarks only want one thing, and it's absolutely disgusting. Standing on a point, in capture control, with team support. Seize ground, they are pretty solid, but with 3 objectives, the team can be a bit too spread out to provide the support that they need. On team deathmatch, they are a little lacking, only really providing armor, supporting fire to the team, but with no objective to sit on, they could definitely fall short. While Bulwark is the crown jewel in team pushes, they are also very strong in a 1v1 situation when played correctly, and it can be pretty rough to try to melee one down. Bulwark's ability of an AoE shield regen gets hard shut down by a well-placed tactical scan, and the skill floor is probably the lowest out of all the classes. But even with the downsides, Bulwark is a staple tank and makes any team holding an objective or an angle more effective. And Bulwark is going in A tier. Sniper has 2 differing playstyles that almost net them 2 different spots on this tier list. Long-range sniping has a high skill ceiling and a very low skill floor. A las rifle being capable of one-hitting a 2-bar class with a headshot makes the sniper very scary, but they do have to land their shots. With stealth allowing them to line up their shots, this can be a bit easier, but it does take some getting used to. The standard bolt sniper is a bit weaker, needing at least 2 shots to put down squishy classes, but the sniper is able to secure kills and TDM easily, and are able to apply very solid pressure on an objective, but are normally not actually on that objective, which can kind of hinder their team a bit. Sniper also has a second bit of gimmicky playstyle with the bolt carbine being able to make some good flanks using their stealth, and can handle 1v1 situations pretty well if they can catch the enemy by surprise, but are mostly outgunned by most classes, and are in rough spots without a shock grenade to support them. Close range sniper is outperformed by both Vanguard and Assault, but it can be nice in some situations. You can also opt to run a melt-a-bomb for some shenanigans, but then you lose out on having your shock grenade, and that's kind of your lifeline, so we're going to put sniper down here in B tier. Alright, so Heavy has a lot of caveats in my opinion. They are great on paper. The extra shield from their ability added to their base 4 shield would help them win any ranged exchange, right? Well, not really. Heavy can be pretty overwhelmed pretty quickly in a lot of situations. Vanguard or Assault get on you, it doesn't look good for you. You run into a Tactical, they can outgun you in some situations, and if you get tac scanned, rest in peace. Sniper melts your shield way out of your range, and Bulwark just simply exists. The Heavy Bolter allows them to lay down some good damage, but slows their aiming and movement, which can leave you a sitting duck. Multi-Melta can 1 or 2 shot any light class at point blank range, but if they're anything outside of exactly right in front of you, it does maybe 1 bar of shield or health. And the Heavy Plasma Rifle is pretty much a chargeable grenade launcher that has a decent uncharged shot, but has very, very low skill floor due to the projectile travel time. I've seen some heavies pop off for sure sometimes, but in my opinion, I'm never too worried when I see one. Also, when a heavy gets hooked by a Vanguard, it puts their projectile shield on a short cooldown, which is extremely rough. And actually, while putting this together and gathering footage, I actually had a couple games that changed my opinion a little bit on this. The Heavy Plasma Rifle is a solid weapon and can 2-shot squishies with an uncharged shot while laying down a surprising amount of AoE damage with its charged shots that can turn an entire fight around. My bad, Heavy, I was unfamiliar with your game, but even so, the weapon does have a downside of what feels like an ammo capacity problem. This can be alleviated by learning your ammo placements, which most classes don't use unless you're me. But even so, it will likely take you out of some fights, and if you get a bit too trigger happy with the charged shots, you're going to find yourself out of ammo. Still, the issues with low skill floor remain. If you can't land your shots, you're going to have a bad time. I was going to put Heavy into C tier, but after a closer consideration and my newfound appreciation for the Heavy Plasma Rifle, I am bumping them into B tier, tied with Sniper. It does take a little bit of time to unlock the Heavy Plasma Rifle. I think it's like 23 or 22. Which is a little late, so early game Heavy I think is still like C tier, but at the end of your leveling journey, definitely worth looking into the Heavy Plasma Rifle. Alright, let me rant a little bit about Assault here. I have to be honest with you all. I am an Assault main. Assault is the best class in the game. Assault wins every matchup in the game except for one. The 10-0 matchup against rooms with low ceilings on capture and control. And even then, they can still provide covering fire or stop enemies from getting on the control point from outside the objective. Assault has the ability to outplay every single class in the game in a 1v1 situation as long as you have some boost without even using your grenade. Vanguard hook being the linchpin in dismantling a team? Yeah, Assault can do basically the same thing, providing an AoE stagger and AoE damage from any angle, as well as having a boost or two to get away if need be, or just slam the heretics again. You do you, man. And I would just say S tier, top 1 in the game and call it a day there, but there's one tool that takes Assault above and beyond all the other classes. A tool that every class has access to. The Melt-A-Bomb. Once you unlock the Melt-A-Bomb, the possibilities for Assault skyrocket. You can now jump up to an objective or choke point, drop your payload like a B-52 bomber, secure a double or triple kill if the enemy is stacked up, and then dive bomb any survivors. And guess what? You still have 2 charges of your jump pack left, and you've already caused massive damage.
God, you are 4 of the ugliest fucking kids I've ever had the misfortune of laying my eyes on. I can't wait for this bitch to kill you.
Nice.
This isn't even a tier list anymore. You are deep into Assault propaganda. All of Assault's downsides, -1 being the low ceilings, are something that can be mitigated with proper gameplay. The biggest weakness being a good sniper, as well as just floating up in the air too long, causing you to be focus fired or just overcommitting in general. You can avoid these by simply just not doing those things. If the enemy has a good sniper, go disrupt them. Assault wins that 1v1 easy at close range. Don't float over an objective being covered by 3 people. And finally, do not overcommit. You will not win the 4v1 with your hammer most times. Wait for your team or make a tactical withdrawal. S tier isn't enough for Assault. Assault's going into S+. Everyone saying they're a little weak is insane. It's a knee-jerk reaction from people who lost their first game as an Assault, floating in the air getting headshot, or meleeing a blocking Bulwark, and immediately jumped on Reddit, or Twitter, X, and started crying. The only change I could see the devs making to Assault is giving them a third shield bar. But then they would be completely out of control in my opinion. So there you have it. Tier list from the eyes of an Assault main, but I do have 2 quick notes before I go. For the new players, no matter how strong a single player or class is, the game is a team-based game, so your main focus, before all else, should be communicating and coordinating with your team. Do not overextend. And if you see that you're feeding in TDM, regroup and use your pings. And the other note is for the devs. Shock grenades are overtuned. They're a Molotov that does AoE damage, slows your movement, slows your aiming speed, and flashbangs your screen just in case. Saber or Focus or anyone who's in charge of doing the balance for this, please just remove the flashbang effect. My eyes would thank you, man. And if you're dead set on having like a flash grenade function, just make it a separate grenade. Anyway, I ranted a bit much here, but that is what I think of all the classes. Throw your opinion in the comments and I'll answer them if I get around to it. I might make an Assault guide or something to help people that it isn't clicking for in the future if that's something that people want, or if I feel creative later. But if you're still sticking around, I just want to say thank you for your time. It's been fun. Other than that, take it easy, and if it's easy, take it twice. Later.